Hello and good morning, and welcome to this short recording on available academic support. My name's Tom. I'm lead advisor on the NDA and TNA programme, and I'm very glad to say that I've been joined by Zoe Jones this morning. Zoe, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your role within the university?
Sure, thanks, Tom. My name's Zoe Jones. I'm a learning enhancement tutor, and I'm part of the learning enhancement team. And we're part of a division alongside the library and the Centre for Technology Enhanced Learning. Our remit is to help students grow confidence in academic studying. And my particular focus is on academic writing and effective study more generally.
Fantastic, and thank you once more for agreeing to join me this morning. As
Pleasure.
we move forward, because the name of the game is to get to
Mhm,
know some of those academic support services that are available to learners,
mhm.
and we've broken down the topic into the what, why, and the how. So, what academic support is available? Why may that support be required? And finally, how do I access that service?
Mhm.
And that's part of the conversation on series. So, as
Mm.
we move forward on that note, Zoe, could you go into a little bit more detail about just what type of academic support is available to learners, please?
Yeah, so I've already given you a few hints there. So the Learning Enhancement Team, we call ourselves LET. We don't mind if people call us other things like LET, but we refer to ourselves as LET. And we've got three main flavours of support within our team. So my flavour is academic writing and studying, and some of that is quite obvious, isn't it? So academic writing, I support students with that. But that can be quite broad as well. So it can be things like planning a piece of academic writing, sort of looking at the instructions, helping people to understand what they've been required to do, thinking about how to draft it and structure it, using language appropriately and references and all of those kind of things. Studying is broader, obviously, but that can be things like strategies for academic reading, how to revise effectively, giving presentations, organising yourself. Anything that's related to being a confident student really falls under that remit. So that's one flavour, academic writing and studying. Then I've got colleagues who support students with maths and
Yeah.
statistics.
Mhm.
So again, I think they're kind of, oh, there's a phone ringing there. Sorry about that. Do
That's
you want me
fine.
to carry on talking with the phone?
Yeah.
It'll be nobody important. Um, so yeah, the maths and statistics tutors, I think it's kind of fairly obvious what they do, but I'm guessing students on your course are likely to maybe come across them if they want some help with things like safe medicate.
Mhm.
Is that something your students will be
Yeah,
preparing for? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So our tutors can help with those kind of numerical skills, growing confidence there. So that's the second flavour. And then the third flavour is our specific learning differences tutors. So they can offer specialist support to students who either have a diagnosis of a specific learning difference, things like dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism spectrum condition, ADHD, or students who've been through the university screening and that has shown that there are indications they would benefit from support from a specialist tutor. So there's our three main kinds of support.
Fantastic. And there's such a broad range there, isn't there, to take away from that
Yeah.
message.
Mm.
And as we move forward, we'll be able to look at the specifics in terms of what type of support is available and how to access that when we get to the how section. But I'm getting
Right.
excited. I want to look ahead to
Okay.
the end part. We'll get to that when we scroll through. But
For
I think
sure.
what's really comforting there is that there's a broad range of support available for all
Yeah,
types of learners.
that's right.
Um, I mean, with that in mind, and some of this is sort of self-evident, but why may someone benefit from academic support? Because we all need support at different times in our careers, don't we?
That's right. So I think the reasons that people would access that support and benefit from it are very different. They can vary from person to person. Sometimes people might have had quite a gap in their
Mhm.
learning. So they're feeling, maybe a bit rusty or not so confident, or perhaps they feel things have changed quite a lot since the last time that they were accessing education. It might be that this is a different kind of learning experience from those that they've had before. Perhaps they're required to do sort of different kinds of tasks or write in a different way from that with which they have been familiar previously. So we can kind of help them to kind of get up to speed and kind of feel a little bit more grounded and orientated about what they need to do. Sometimes they might feel there's just a gap in their understanding. Perhaps they may have come from a different academic background, perhaps a different country. Again, we can help them to kind of orientate, think about how they're using things like their English language skills appropriately. Sometimes it can be that life is just really busy and difficult, and people are navigating things like maybe work, caring responsibilities, other kinds of difficult things that can come up as part of human life. And so it can be helpful to have some support to help us navigate our studies alongside some of those tricky things that are going on in the background. So we can help with all of that. Really important, and something that we always like to emphasize, is that sometimes the students who come and see us are struggling. Sometimes they're finding their courses are, stretching them, and they need that support to kind of help them manage that. But other
Yeah.
times, students are doing really well. And we have students who come and seek our support through the different ways I'm going to tell you about shortly, just because they like to have someone to discuss that with, or to kind of share that with, or just to help manage that kind of sometimes quite difficult experience. Alongside other things going on in their life. Sometimes it could be that they've received some feedback, which is really good feedback, but they
Yeah.
don't quite know what they did. So
Yeah.
I don't quite understand how I've achieved this, but I want to keep doing it. Can you help me to better understand that? So we can, again, help them to work out, well, this is the stuff that was really good that you want to kind of keep on doing. And so we'll help them to
Yeah.
kind of carry that forward and build on that positive experience as well. So we help students that are not doing so great or not feeling so great about what they're doing, all the way up to students who are really high achieving, and that's really important to emphasize.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective, and important to encourage, really, is that what we're ultimately looking for is for everyone to reach their maximum potential. So it's not that it's any one individual that is only suitable for accessing the service.
Mm,
It's very it's variable, isn't it, on that
yeah,
individual. But it is
absolutely.
about achieving your full potential through accessing people such as yourselves and the wider team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and you've encouraged me. I'm almost imagining like a Neapolitan ice cream there when you're talking
Yeah.
about different flavors.
That's
And
exactly how I think of it, actually. Yeah.
exactly. And whilst I'm sitting here quite hungry now, I think it's probably good if we look at the how element. And I'll hand over the reins in terms of the screen to yourself, Zoe, because I'm really interested in sort of how some of those different flavors offer different services and what they look like, and how an individual would access them.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really pleased that you're giving me the chance to share my screen. I'm just going to get um, my pages of my UEA. Have I done that correctly? Are you seeing this now?
It's just loading up now.
I think I'm going to
Um,
try that again because I think I might have clicked on the wrong button. Let's go again. I'm going to show you the learning enhancement pages on my UEA. Hopefully that's going to work better.
there we are. We're there.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So students will be able to find this themselves. So this is just on my UEA. And you will just, if you go to the little menu bar here and just stick
Yep.
in learning enhancement, or I guess you're probably going to provide them with the link as well, Tom, so
Yep.
they'll be able to orientate here. This is the landing page, and it's got lots of useful information about how to
Mhm.
access our support. So the really key thing that I want to emphasize to people is that you can just email that email address, which is
Mhm.
ask.let, and we have that email address quite deliberately because we do want people to reach out and to ask us questions and to kind of access the support. So you can use that email address for a number of things.
Mhm.
One thing is to find out more about what we do. So if students watch this video and they're like, oh, I think I might be able to access support for this or that. I'm not sure. Please just email and ask. We've got a very, very friendly admin assistant called Claire who will pick up those emails, and sometimes she'll kind of filter them and get different tutors to answer as well. We also have one tutor like myself assigned per day to look at those emails between 9 and 5. So if someone emails in and they've got a very quick question that we can answer, like, how do I reference blah, blah, then we'll answer it. And usually we get back to people, quite quickly within the same day. So that's quite useful to know about that. And then the other thing that people can use that email address for is to arrange a one-to-one appointment with us. So I'm just going to scroll through the things that you can see here on the page. I'll come back to that top row, but the top row reflects those flavours, the Neapolitan flavours that we were talking about, academic writing and studying, maths and statistics, specific learning differences. We've got peer-assisted learning there, but I'm afraid that's not currently available to your students, but in some schools of study, that's something that we have.
Sure.
Now, on this middle row here, the 3 tiles that we've got going from left to right, we've got the drop-ins, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a moment. We've got resources, which will take you to different areas around the academic writing and studying maths and stats, SPLD, and sort of self-access resources students can look at in their own time. And then we've got the tutorials tile there. So tutorials are one-to-one appointments. They last up to 50 minutes. You can have a tutorial in any one of those 3 flavours, academic writing and studying, maths and stats, or specific learning differences if you're a student who's eligible for that support. And you can do it either on Teams or you can meet us in person. So we have got a building called the Student Appointment Centre. It's just upstairs from the Student Information Zone, and it's not far from the library on the upper walkway. Students can come in there if they want to have a face-to-face appointment. We recognise that a lot of students don't come onto campus very often, and that's really fine. And if you prefer to have a Teams appointment, not a bother. So you would use that email address to book one of those appointments. So you just simply email it and say, I'd really like to have an appointment with a learning enhancement tutor to talk about my academic writing. And then Claire, our admin assistant, will negotiate, sort of times, or suggest some times that might happen. We do try to be quite flexible. So sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm really busy, I'm working as well as studying, I'm not going to be able to fit that in. Let us know what would work for you. If it needs to be a slightly out of hours appointment, so after 5, we can often accommodate that on a Tuesday or a Thursday. If you'd like to meet in what is your lunch hour, so between 12 and 1 or 1 and 2, then we can move our lunch around to accommodate that. So we work really hard to make those tutorial appointments available to as wide a range of students as possible, and we'll always seek to try and find a way to make that happen. Sure. So that's the one-to-one support that's available. Our only sort of rule around those is you can only have 1 per week. And we don't guarantee you can have 1 every week, because actually sometimes too much support is not particularly helpful as well. We try to kind of, make it work in a way that is kind of developmental, encouraging students to kind of take control of their learning and work on things a little bit before we see them again. So occasionally we will see students 1 week and then see them the next, but not always, because that's not always what's best for the student. The other way that you can access our support, well, we've got the resources. So you'll find if you click on there, that might be a good first step, really. Have an explore and see if there's something like a written resource or a recording, or maybe a podcast recording or something like that can help you. Think if it's maths and stats through worksheets and that kind of thing. And then the other thing is we have our drop-ins. So if I click on that page, actually, and that will show you what's here. Just having a little think. There we go. Nice picture of some berries on that tree there. So this has like a little menu, and it will tell you about all the things that we do. So on a weekly basis, we have regular drop-ins. Again, if you don't know if these are the right ones for you, or you want to check if something's happening, there's that email address that you can use, right? So we have maths help desks. They take place during the semester. So again, if people wanted some support around things like Safe Medicate, then they are usually Wednesdays and Fridays, 2 till 4, and they take place in the Student Union building upstairs, room 2. We have our weekly study cafe.
Mm.
That's on Wednesday afternoons, and that's in the Student Information Zone, or the SIS annex, which is the room next to the Student Information Zone reception. Yeah, 2 to 4 on Wednesdays every week, usually every week, even in holiday, what standard holiday times for the university, we keep that study cafe going. People just drop in there, they take a seat, they bring their work along, they have a chat with our tutors if they want to. Again, we know that people can find that quite tricky to access the in-person version, so we do offer the chance to join online if that's better
Okay.
for people. Yeah, so that's the Wednesday afternoon study cafe. All subjects welcome there, all levels of study, and study together is quite similar. This takes place on a Thursday. It's in the Student Union building upstairs, room 6. It's 1 till 4, so it provides a good opportunity for people who perhaps aren't around on a Wednesday afternoon. It's a little bit smaller, so people who like a quieter working environment might suit them. We have uh, our mature and commuting students widening participation officer, Gemma Standen, is always there as well. So if people want to come and chat to Gemma, that's quite a nice space. Again, people come along and they bring their work. I'm always there. They can ask me questions about academic writing and studying and so on.
Mm.
That tends to keep going in, all round year round as well. So
So,
always plenty of support there.
mm.
SPLD advisor drop in for anyone who wants to speak to one of the university's SPLD advisors about screenings and reasonable adjustments and assessment adjustments. You'd probably need to get in contact to find out exactly when they're running, but they tend to be during term time. And again, you can drop in and speak to Johnny or Kate, who are the really friendly SPLD advisors. And then we've
Sure.
got our HSE let library drop-ins
Mm.
for HSE students like your students.
Mm.
They take place on Tuesdays on
Mhm.
Blackboard, 3 till 4. Matthew Hawkes, your academic librarian, is
Mm.
usually there and he can answer questions about literature searching. And then either myself or my colleague Denise from Learning Enhancement are there as well. We do an in-person one on a Wednesday, 12 till 1 in the Queen's building, usually Queen's 1.24. So there's
Okay.
lots of support available there,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tom, and lots of different ways that people can access it. And so I don't know why that's gone like that. It's had a little tantrum. We'll go back to that
At the
page.
moment.
But there's lots of different ways that people can access support. And as I've said, we sort of try and be flexible. But if anything isn't working for people, they're not kind of sure how they can access, then please reach out and email ask.let and I'm sure we can find a way.
Yeah. So not only different flavors in terms of the type of topics that are covered, but also different flavors in the way in which that support's delivered. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that that's really important. It just shows the flexibility of the team there. And
Mm,
ultimately, I think the thread that follows through all of the conversations that I've had with different services that support learners is just ask. If in doubt, just ask. And the email that you have there is that perfect starting point, isn't it? So if
that's right.
after listening to this content you're still a little bit unsure, just by sending off that email and asking that question, you've started the process. So
Yeah,
if there's one takeaway,
exactly.
it's that. So
Yeah.
I'd like to draw us to a close there, and just thank you for your time, Zoe. I think it's really beneficial that we're making this content, and I know that the learners appreciate it, and the support that's offered by yourself and the wider team. So thank you.
Thank you very much.